In Facebook groups, there is a running conflict that appears to exist between those that use scientific names and those that prefer common names. As a novice or basic ornamental gardener, it's easy to rely on common names, but as a serious gardener, specialist gardener, or plant collector, scientific names are a must. The thing is, hardly any of us find it hard to remember Tyrannosaurus rex, which is also a scientific name. Most of us know that Homo sapiens is the name of our species. We know this because in the case of the former, it has no common name. In the case of the latter, we learned it. There are a number of reasons for this, but the most compelling is the unreliable nature of common names. On Wikipedia, a quick search for black wattle reveals 17 distinct species. All these species have different distributions and growing conditions. Common names may also vary from area to area or language to language. The scientific name never changes. Recently, a group of Indigenous Australian people were invited to an information session to help save the endangered bilby, Macrotus logotus. Many members of the community were confused because they had never heard of a bilby. When they saw the photographs, it was a revelation. They had been hunting feral cats and actively trying to protect the species for years, but they used their own language when they talked about it. Scientific names never change. They are based on scientific classification of the organism in question. Scientific names are usually in Latin because, being a language unused in a cultural sense, it is not subject to the same natural linguistic changes that are inevitable in a language that is consistently in use. In my salad garden, I have two plants called sea celery. They are both edible, both native to Australia, and both in the same family. Their flavours and texture are slightly different. We even call groups of plants by their genus name without realising it. Grevillea is the genus for a group of beautiful plants that are commonly known by the same name. If we know the genus, it also gives us a gardening advantage, as we can guess at some of the growing conditions and plant uses. For example, the genus for onions is Allium. The genus for broccoli is Brassica. The genus for pumpkins is Cucurbita. This means that plants will have the same first name and an additional species name. The Queensland blue pumpkin is Cucurbita maxima, while the orange pumpkin, which has become a Halloween icon, is Cucurbita pepo. Same genus name, different species name. Scientific names are even more important when establishing whether a plant is edible or not. Yarrow, Achillea millifolium, looks very similar to poison hemlock, Canium maculatum. So if you're foraging or buying a plant, scientific identification is a sure way to save yourself from an untimely end. When we, as gardeners or collectors, have discussions about plants, we need to know that we are discussing the same plant. Common names don't guarantee this, but scientific names do. My advice? Give the scientific names a go. It may be daunting at first, but it's just another language after all. Once you get past the initial frustration, your amazing brain will fire all the right neurons to develop a better understanding of your new language. This better understanding might soon have you saying things like, looks like a cucurbit, I'll plant it where it can spread. Afterthought. An organism can be reclassified, which changes the scientific name, and this happens with Australian natives a lot. Having said that, the reclassification rarely goes above genus, and there is a crossover in the use of the old name and the new name.